maybe unable to stay with the owner, you know, somebody.
Hi, Maria.
It just has to be one that's hypoallergenic, you know, that easy to put in.
Board meeting.
Yeah, that's what I think.
That's all the songs for
Diane.
So we want to do Egypt.
Diane. Hi.
I'm going to take my daughter to Spain and Portugal, my oldest daughter. My youngest daughter. Oh, her. Take a picture of her. Thank you.
Hi.
All right, lady. Hey, there she is.
Want to keep it
Okay, span around everybody. Gets a chance. Diane. Hello, Diane.
Anybody else need it?
Howdy.
Hello everyone. Welcome to Unity Church of Sun Lakes. I'm Reverend Jeanne MacLaughlin, the spiritual leader of our church. We had an absolutely fantastic board meeting last Saturday, and one of the things that we got to work on was to tweak our vision and mission statement. So I wanted to be the first to share it with you right here on this Sunday, July 23rd of 2023. So the vision statement didn't change much. Let's see if you can tell where we changed it. Our vision is a world of oneness where all people are free and encouraged to express their divine potential. And our mission statement is Unity Church of Sun Lakes is a spiritual community of love and light that is dedicated to the expansion of our divinity as taught by Jesus Christ and other master teachers. We commit our time, talent, and tithes to inspire more love and peace in our world. I hope you like them as much as we did. We do. And now, on to today's talk, which is titled Paradise Awaits. Our theme this month is inspired by a statement written by Sufi mystic and poet Hafiz. As a reminder, it goes like this: you're invited to meet the divine, meaning you are being called to express more of God as you. You are constantly being invited in a higher, freer, fully expanded version of life, living itself as you. The invitation shows up in your life as either an inner urging for more expression or as discontent, dissatisfaction with where you are right now. You're invited to meet the divine. No one can resist a divine invitation. Meaning that either your inner urging for more expression or your discontent, dissatisfaction with where you are now will have its way with you, just the way that it is. So you can't stop it and you can't resist it. You're invited to meet the divine. No one can resist a divine invitation. That narrows down all of our choices to just two. You can come to the divine dressed for dancing, meaning that you can show up fully ready and prepared to do whatever it takes to answer the call of the desire or the discontent, or be carried on a stretcher to God's ward. Meaning, you can resist the call of the desire or get mired down in the discontent and agree to live a life of struggle. So, I prefer that we accept the divine invitation, dressed for dancing. Or, said another way, I prefer that we consciously, actively, deliberately, purposefully, and intentionally answer the call of either the desire or the discontent to be the fullest, freest, most expanded expression of the divine that we can be. And since our church is filled with like minds, I believe that you feel the same way that I do. So last week, we explored moving from our paradigms to a paradise in a powerful way. Today, we continue our exploration into a paradigm that seems to haunt most every human being and which lays us out on the stretcher every time. If you are ready to get off the stretcher and put on your dancing shoes, then today is your day and paradise awaits. So are you ready? Let's go. 8 longtime golfing buddies go out on the fairway for their regular golf outing. As is customary, they break up into foursomes to play. The first 4 men play 18 holes, and then they sit in the clubhouse waiting for the other group to come in. It seems that they wait an extraordinary long time for them. Finally, here come 3 men from the second foursome. These men are total wrecks. They are red in the face, out of breath, and sweating profusely. They are obviously in great distress. A member of the first foursome says to Jim, a member of the second foursome, "Jim, old buddy, what in the world happened to you guys?" And Jim, gasping for air, responded, "Oh, it was just awful. On the second hole, Harry had a heart attack. After that, it was hit the ball and drag Harry. Hit the ball and drag Harry. Hit the ball and drag Harry." Okay, I know that was a very old joke, and it doesn't get any better with age. But it is a very descriptive way of how we often go through the process of responding to the divine invitation. Many of us are dragging Harry. And if you think dragging Harry is not conducive to playing golf, well, it's really not conducive to getting dressed for dancing to respond to the call of the divine invitation. So, who, or more actually, what is our Harry? What are we dragging around that is going to put us on the stretcher? Harry is a fundamental belief. A fundamental belief that many of us carry around. It is the fundamental belief that there is something inherently wrong with us. Harry is the notion that we are unworthy and or undeserving and or incapable of creating anything wonderful in our lives. That's our Harry. That's what we drag around. Now, if you started with us on the first Sunday of the month and are actively engaged in this process of answering the divine invitation, you have already made some significant internal shifts. And you are on a roll, hopefully. But if you have a paradigm that affects your perception of yourself, if you do not believe that you deserve to live a higher, freer, fully expanded version of life, if you do not believe that you are worthy and capable of the dream, then it will never become a reality in your life. Paradise awaits. Paradise beckons, but you won't get there. Because even as your dream begins to take shape, unconsciously, you will find a way to sabotage it. It seems that we have been trained to believe that we are unworthy. Regardless of our religious upbringing, some version of original sin seeps into our being. We operate out of a belief that there's something fundamentally wrong with us, and thus we do not deserve what we deeply desire. And that belief is like a negative magnet pushing away any good we might attract. For instance, we might dream and to experience a loving relationship, and in fact become involved in a relationship, but not a deeply fulfilling one. We believe that if those we love grow too close, they will discover that we really are no good. So we push them away to prevent them from finding out. Similarly, we fail to express fully our talents. Taking risks in a career makes us vulnerable to error. And we fear that stumbling will expose us as phonies. Despite what anybody says, we know the truth. We're basically bad, and no one must discover our ugly little secret. We become so careful, so fearful of making a mistake, that we remain on a short leash, never venturing into a realm in which our greater life, our higher aspirations, the divine invitation resides. How about contrasting the theology of original sin with the theology of new thought or unity, which we call original innocence or missing the mark? The former says that we err because we are inherently bad, while the latter says that we make mistakes out of ignorance. We are ignorant to the truth of ourselves, of God, and of one another. We are ignorant of the truth that we are made in the image and likeness of the divine Almighty, and are endowed with power of creation through our thoughts, our feelings, and our beliefs. We are ignorant of the power of our choices and the power that results from what we choose to create. We are ignorant of our connection to one another and the earth and all of life. We're just ignorant. And all that we do is not life affirming. All that we do that is not life affirming is a result of our ignorance. It is not proof that some dark, unworthy being resides at our core. This does not mean we always do good things. We may flounder and offend and fall off track. It does mean, however, that we are inherently good. We are inherently good because God created us. And God don't make no junk, to quote that great philosopher, Dennis the Menace. Charles Fillmore wrote in Dynamics for Living, when we have found our being in God, we are no longer identified with the world. our interest is in spiritual things. Saint Francis of Assisi, author of the profoundly beautiful prayer, which begins, "Lord, make me an instrument of thy peace," was an Italian Roman Catholic monk living in the 13th century. He founded the Franciscan order and was canonized in 1228. What you may not know is that he was not always saintly. He, in fact, had grown up very wealthy and lived a pretty wild, indulgent life. However wild a rich, indulged young man in the 13th century could live. He was once asked by one of his companions, "Why you, Francis? Why you? Why did God choose you as a lighthouse to bless the world?" St. Francis smiled and he replied, "Why me? I'll tell you why me. Because there could hardly be anyone who has made as many mistakes as I have. I have done and been everything you can think of that is abhorrent and unholy. I had absolutely nothing to offer to the world. That is precisely why God chose me, to glorify me, to give hope to people who feel they have nothing to give. For if the Holy Spirit can work through me, it can work through anyone. In the eternal dimension, each of us is whole and perfect and complete. Power springs from that place where we locate our divine dimension. We can find that place in ourselves or miss seeing it entirely. In order to be able to answer the divine invitation, you must realize that you are worthy. Do you want to know if you're worthy? Here's a test question. Are you breathing? If the answer is yes, then you are worthy. Ernest Holmes, in the Philosophy of Jesus for the World Today, wrote, "We must come to believe that the Father does dwell within us, and that this creative spirit, which is back of all things, also flows through us. God has need of us, or he would not have put us here. The divine wishes to express through us, or we would have no existence. As a matter of fact, we really have no existence of ourselves alone. It is only because we live in God that we live at all. If we think of ourselves as rooted in God and expect divine power to flow through us, every thought that we have and our every act will be animated by the same life and power and beauty that clothes the lilies of the field. Let us see what would happen to us if we should include ourselves in God's creation. Right at the start, we would learn to have a little better opinion of ourselves, wouldn't we? I'm not talking about an arrogant or conceited opinion, for we already have learned that we can do nothing of ourselves. We live because we are drawing on the invisible source of all life. Think about a tree. Suppose every time a tree had the urge to put forth a new branch, it said, I don't think I'm worthy of doing this. I'm not sure I'm good enough to have more than just a certain number of branches. Let's suppose this tree is bemoaning its fate because it would really love to have more branches, but it doesn't think it is worthy to be so lavishly adorned. And every time the tree says, I don't think I deserve any more branches, it blocks off the possibility of drawing its life from the soil. If this should happen, then the tree would never make any more branches. It would begin to die from that very moment. But the tree does not do this. All it does is depend on nature. All that it knows to do is grow. So it never short-circuits the divine energy that gives it life. But we are people, and we can and we do short-circuit the divine energy that should be flowing through us. The funny part of it is that we short-circuit it when we deny that it is there. We short-circuit it when we live from a paradigm that we are unworthy, incapable, and undeserving. And so I pose to you this morning that you can learn to feel worthy, valuable, and deserving, simply by beginning to understand and really accept the truth, capital T, of your being. The way to amplify your feelings of deserving is to remind yourself daily, hourly, minutely, if necessary, of your true identity. If you recognized yourself as a living image of God, how much more would you believe you deserved? Here is an important point and the gem for today. You cannot be any more deserving than you are right at this moment. But you can feel more, way more deserving. As a way to train your mind in the realm of thinking, take a hint from the little boy who was overheard talking to himself as he strode through his backyard, baseball cap in place and toting a ball and a bat. I am the greatest baseball player in the world, he said proudly, and then he tossed the ball in the air, swung and he missed it. Undaunted, he picked up the ball, threw it in the air and said to himself, I am the greatest player ever. He swung at the ball again, and again he missed. He paused for a moment to examine the bat and the ball carefully. And then, once again, he threw the ball into the air and he said with great conviction, I am the greatest baseball player who ever lived. He swung the bat hard and again missed the ball. Wow, he exclaimed, what a great pitcher. The little boy believed in his own worth, even when he literally missed what he set out to achieve. He perceived his inability to connect with a baseball, not as evidence he was a lousy ball player, inherently bad, but rather as an opportunity to discover a greater talent within himself. So remember last week, we discussed how to change a paradigm. Constant repetition of a new thought supported by a new environment. Begin to think anew about yourself constantly and repetitively. Realizing who you are at your inherent worth, ability, and deservability cannot be skipped in the process of living your higher calling. Many people have launched dreams without first developing a sense of worthiness. Even when they finally attract into their experience a desired dream, they manage to sabotage it before long. Their dream was not built on a solid foundation of divine deserving. And so this morning, I invite you to remember and to embrace the words of New Thought father Ralph Waldo Emerson. There is no planet, sun, or star that could hold you if you but knew what you are. Let's say a slightly revised version of that. There is no planet, sun, or star that can hold me because I know who I am. Say that constantly and repetitively, and whenever you catch yourself dragging Harry, remind yourself who and what you are. You are an expression of God. You are worthy. You are capable. You are gifted. And you deserve to experience paradise right here on earth. God bless you. See you next week.